Guys, I'm very excited about having real estate agent Thomas Itemere here, and we're going to be talking about the home buying process, okay? We're going to be talking about what it is. How does it feel? You as a client, now picture yourself, you're coming to us, you're going to buy your first home. How does the process actually work, right? So you say to yourself, hey, I'm logged in, I'm looking at Zillow, I'm looking at Redfin, and I look at a house, and I want to make an offer on this property, I want to take a look at it. So what do? I call best real estate agent in the area, Thomas. Hey, Thomas, I want to take a look at this property, right? So Thomas, thank you so much for being here. Tell me, a client comes to you first, not pre-approved, interested in a property. What's the advice? What's the right step they should take?
Kick him out the door.
Straight up, get out the door.
No, I'm just messing with you. Well, thanks for having me, Sebastian. Well, you know, that's a good question. And every so often I do, meet people that come into me and they say, oh, I want this house. Let's go get it, blah, blah, blah. That says, you know what? Slow down. The first thing we want to do is I send them off to a professional such as yourself.
There you go.
Because, in this market, you want to go out there when you're prepared.
Yep.
If you want to make an offer on a certain property, the sellers want to know that you are prepared. You are ready to make a decision. You are ready to move. So without the necessary, so to speak, ammunition in your chamber, let's be honest. That's not the house for you.
Yeah.
So the first thing I will do is I will say, hey, listen, I'll sit down with the people, with the clients. We're going to have a discussion as far as, what their wants, needs are. You know what I mean? We're going to discuss and say, okay, so, what exactly are they looking for? We may discuss, well, maybe they may care about a certain school district, or maybe school's not their thing. They care about, well, they want a certain home in a certain neighborhood, or, situations like that. But the very, very first instant they come in and they mention that they want to buy a home, I send them to you, Sebastian. And I tell them, go see Sebastian. Sebastian will set you straight.
And I appreciate that. And that's huge, right, guys? So basically, the first step is really getting pre-approved, is financing your financial situation, Tom. So, yes, guys, how do we pre-approve somebody? I'm more than happy to sit down with you and take a look at the full picture, right? There's different factors that we determine. First, if you qualify. Second, up to how much, okay? I work, and I'm fortunate enough to work for a direct lender, a bank, who I have the luxury of looking for the best interest rate, the best program for first-time home buyers or investors or flippers, right? But more importantly is making sure that we get you approved, making sure we close this transaction, because like what you said is put yourself in a seller's shoes. You want to make sure that if you're selling this property and you're going to lock up your home in a 30-day contract, a 45-day, that this home closes, that this is a solid pre-approval, that somebody is fully underwritten, that this is going to go to closing, right? So what do we look at? Credit score, very important, right? Minimum credit score right now is a 580. And we'd be more than happy to run you through a system to make sure we can get that credit score up higher. That way you have a better interest rate and a better competitive advantage, right? Second, employment. Yes, you do need to be working.
It helps.
Yeah, it does help, right?
Jobs are nice.
Jobs are very nice, So
all income.
All income, yes,
Income.
yes. So
Income
yes,
is good.
please have income, right? But yeah, so we look at the employment history, and then the next topic you said is the income. We want to make sure you're generating income.
Correct.
Are you self-employed? Do you work for a company and get W-2s and pay stubs? Those are all different questions that we look at when we're in the application. Last piece is, how do we determine how much you can actually buy, right? It's all debt to income ratios. Reach out to me. I'll talk to you more about the DTI and more of that. But percentages, how much can you afford per month in relation to your income? There's certain percentages that we look at. And my job is to see what's the maximum income I can pull out to get you to that maximum point, right? So down payment is the last piece of that puzzle. Is first figuring out, for me, the way I like to work is let's first see if you qualify, second up to how much, and then I'll tell you what you need for minimum. Yep. If you have more, does it make sense to put more money in, or maybe just keep that in your pocket for reserves, for an emergency, right? So that's a very good point. Now, once they're fully underwritten, once I have the documentation, once I have everything run through the system, and you're pre-approved, this pre-approval, it's like a golden ticket, guys. I mean, this is basically a bank telling you guys, hey, we've analyzed everything, okay? The only thing I haven't asked is for your blood, your hair, or your nails, because I've asked for everything, right?
Well, pre-approvals are great. However, Sebastian, one component of the pre-approval that I also want the general public out there to realize also is that a pre-approval, in some way, shape, or form, is also an educated guess as far as, it says that this applicant is qualified for a dwelling that meets this criteria. So what I have to school a lot of my clients, because they think, well, okay, I got pre-approved, and they feel as though they're ready to go, and this, that, and I tell them, slow down. We got to wait until now we can attach that pre-approval to an address. And that's a component of it that a lot of our clients out there, sometimes I have to always feel as though I have to educate them and corral them about, because they always assume that once you are, just because you're pre-approved doesn't mean you can gonna get that dream home. So there's still certain things and certain, due diligence, so to speak, that the clients also have to maintain on their part to see a successful close.
That's awesome. And that's huge because, guys, the way that we pre-approve somebody, right, is yes, we look at the purchase prices, which I think is what you're talking about, is yes, you need a purchase price point for you to keep that range. Where am I looking at, right? But make sure that you're also, you understand, like I mentioned before, how do you qualify for a home? Is that monthly payment? It's how much does that home cost per month, right? So an example, you can be looking at 2 homes with the same purchase price point, but you can afford this one, you can't this one. And so you come back, or the client comes back, Sebastian, but you told me I can buy a $500,000 home. What we have to understand, and this is when you're working with a good team, because both the real estate agent knows like the lender, this is how we work and we make sure we put you in the right position, is we're looking at that monthly affordability, right? The taxes on this property are lower, the cost on the insurance are lower here, which makes it a lower monthly payment, compared to this one here. It has higher taxes, higher insurances, which puts that monthly payment at a higher point that your affordability allows you to be at.
Because what a lot of our clients don't realize is that, let's take for instance, you might be looking at, say, way over here in Marlboro. You might be looking at a property in Marlboro that is, for sale for maybe $350.
Okay.
And you have a pre-approval from Sebastian stating that you qualify for $350. However, because me and you have such a great relationship, I understand the intricacies of that pre-approval.
Yes.
And I understand that, well, this is the max that we need for, say, the property taxes. So with that information that we have, we have the abilities, because, let's be truthful, when our clients are looking at these opportunities, they're excited.
Yes.
They just want, they're looking at a price and they think, oh my goodness, I've been pre-approved. This is less than what my pre-approval is. Why can't we go get it? And then I got to say, hey, slow down, pump the brakes. This one in Marlboro may have, hypothetically, maybe $5,000 in taxes versus this one right here in Berlin may be, $3,000 in taxes. Just throwing out numbers out there. It's the same $300,000. But then again, you don't understand, well, why am I not approved for this, but I'm approved for that? It's the property tax component, the insurance component that we have to educate our clients and make them understand and realize the difference in values of our dollars.
And that's huge. That's huge, because I think one question that I always ask, and when we do our seminars, we ask, who decides what your monthly payment is going to be? Is it the bank or is it you? A lot of people say the bank. I tell you what the maximum is that I can give you. You have to decide how much you want and how much you can afford per month, right?
Correct.
So that's why it's important to work with a professional who understands what the monthly cost is of owning that home, maintaining that home, versus only looking at the purchase price, because you can get yourself in a sticky situation if you're really not, guided in that right way. So huge, right? Once they're pre-approved, they get out there and they're looking for homes. We're doing the analysis. You send me a property, Sebastian, do the numbers work. I send you the breakdown. Everything is good. Borrowers want to make an offer. What's the next step? Hey, Thomas, I want to make an offer. What do I have to do?
Well, at that point now, it's fairly simple. Well, let me not say fairly simple, however, but beyond that point now we sit back and we try to craft a good offer that we feel as though is going to be based upon what our parameters are. We're going to try and come up with a suitable offer and present it to the sellers. Now, upon acceptance of said offer, now it all depends on what we have in our offer. We have certain contingencies. And, you know, a mortgage contingency is one of them.
Yes.
We have inspection contingencies. Now,
Purchase and sales contingency. Or no?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm speaking out, okay.
It's just, well, contingencies could be, you know, you say it could be a situation whereby you go through the property and we talked about a pool, you know, maybe there's a pool, you know, and you say, well, we don't want that pool. You know, the contingency is that I'm going to purchase this property. However, I do not want that pool.
Oh.
You know, and once again, the contingency is that, say, if you're going to go through now what your role is, a loan off, you're going to get a loan, whether it's a VA, conventional, USDA, it doesn't matter. But you got a mortgage contingency, and that mortgage contingency has a date as to when, you know, you need to apply for said mortgage. But then again, the way we do business these days, you know, you've already made that initial application by virtue of you having that pre-approval. Now, once we have the property and now we can attach this address to this applicant, that's when the ball starts going. That's when really the real business starts to occur.
That's when everybody's now.
Because now it comes from being an assumption, which I said earlier, to now the reality.
To a contractual agreement.
Because now this is the real property that we had suggested and says, hey, remember when I said this person may be able to afford A, B, C, D? Now here, we have presented an opportunity that this client wants to purchase. Here it is. What do we have to do to make it happen?
Love it, love it. And that's where it comes back to me, right? So that's very important that I did my due diligence from up front. Like I said, this pre-approval that we give are underwritten. So by me making sure I have a good business relationship with Thomas, because he knows that when we give this pre-approvals, they're solid, all I need is the property. I get the purchase contract, right? I get the property address. I get all the updated documents from the borrower to make sure everything's up to date, put it all together, and I submit it. Now, ideally, in a perfect world, how quickly can we get it closed? In a perfect world, 30 days. Why? Because it's not only your finances and your credit and your documentation piece of it, but there's other pieces that are involved in the transaction. For example, your appraisal. Appraisal isn't done by us, by me. It's actually a third party that gets contracted. And they have plenty of other banks who contract them as well. So there's a queue that you go into. It can take 2 weeks, it can take 3 weeks. So when you're dealing with a good professional, they're speaking to the listing agent and they're preparing them and saying, hey, listen, my bank can get it done quickly, but we have to wait for the appraisal. We have to wait for the title. So let's just give me 30 to 45 days, and if I can close it sooner, I look like a superhero, right? That's when you're dealing with an experienced professional in this real estate market. You're going to be able to position yourself in a competitive place and win that offer and make sure that everybody's happy throughout the full transaction. Right, because it can get bumpy.
And the thing about it too is, you know, what I try to also advise or just, you know, highlight to most of my clients is that, you know, people will come in and just, you know, assume that, hey, you know, that's the house that I want and blah, it's not that quick. You know, you're making a purchase. Your largest purchase out of you know, outside of buying a vehicle, you know, your home, your dwelling is one of your largest purchases that most of us make in our lifetime. And it's a 30-year commitment. You know, you don't want to take this lightly. You want to make sure that, you know, to the best of your abilities, you're making the right steps and try to avoid as many pitfalls as you potentially can. And sometimes people will come to me and they'll say, well, why is it gotta why is it gotta take so long? Why 30 days? You know? And that's when I say, well, there's certain things that are beyond our control.
Exactly.
We have to wait for these things to fall in place, to come in line. And sometimes you don't want to rush it either because, hey, you don't want to move into the property or have a situation whereby, well, we cannot close out the escrow because XYZ cannot be fulfilled. You know? And a component to that is, you know, I believe educating most of our clients and letting them know what to expect and have a realistic expectation, you know, that tends to work fairly well. And you know, I try my best to take that approach and make sure that you know, I'm very transparent with what I explain. What, you know, if we're going to say we're going to do something, we want to make sure we do what we say we're going to do.
Or better.
Because there's there's a lot at stake here.
That's right.
You know, this is
That's right.
people's lives, people's families. You know, this is important work that we do.
Deposits. I mean, people, you know, there's deposits at risk if we don't do our right job, which people work very hard to save up 1,000 or 5,000 or any kind of money that you can.
Any kind of money.
Any kind of money is a lot, right?
A
So
lot.
we take that into I take it very serious, and I know you do too. So one thing that I think, to recap what you were saying, is we always under-promise, but we over-deliver. We always under-promise, but we always over-deliver. So setting the right expectations, that's very crucial. We don't, you know, you don't want somebody to paint you a picture or sell you something that's really not true. I'd rather tell you up front, hey, this is going to be a bumpy road, and at the end of the transaction it's a smooth road. I look like a superhero. But if I tell you it's a smooth road and it's a bumpy road, then I look like the villain, right? So our job is set the right expectations, okay? We always under-promise, over-deliver. That's why once you get into contract, you know, you're working with a professional, we get you into that appraisal, the appraiser goes out, everything comes back clean, no repairs needed, right? Throughout this whole time of the transaction, I'm asking you for updated documents. I'm asking for pay stubs. I'm making sure that your bank statements are showing these different deposits that you've taken out of your bank to lock in this home into contract. So different documentations that we will be asking until the end, right? Now, there is a mortgage contingency date, right? So like you're saying, there's a date that we have to provide the financing for, right? So you have a lot of pressure from the seller side that's giving you, hey, what's up with the financing? Okay.
Trust. Sometimes I have sellers calling me even a week before the mortgage contingency. Hey, my guys are getting nervous. What's going on? And you know, you kind of sort of have to work both sides of the fence. You know, you have your buyers here nervous about whatever's going on if you're a buyer's agent. And if you're a seller's agent, you know, you have your sellers, you know, well, you know, if they may have another property that they're looking to purchase. And, you know, that potentiality of its occurrence is hinged on the success of this transaction, you know. So, I mean, it can be a very emotional journey, you know, with whichever way you slice that pie, and you know, it has its emotion that's attached to it, which we as professionals, we have to at least try to maintain a sober head and, you know, make sure that we are doing the best that we can for our clients, because that's the reason why we're here, to serve our clients for the betterment of the client.
Exactly, exactly. So, I mean, that's powerful, guys. What he said is basically, we will treat you like family, but we make sure that this is a business transaction. So at the end of the day, we get this closed. This is a business transaction, but at heart, we treat you like family because we want to get you in this home. On your
terms and conditions.
Exactly, exactly. And that's huge, guys. So, Thomas, I mean, we get all this stuff. We get us to the closing table. I mean, how good of a feeling is it? What's the experience? Give these guys a little taste of how it feels good to celebrate, right? What happens on closing day, please?
You know, closing day is always a hodgepodge of emotions, you know. For me, at least, it's a moment of reflecting because, you know, it depends on where we came from with this. With every client is different, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Say if it's a buyer and, you know, through the pandemic and I'm sure you on your side you dealt with, you know, people who had put offers and the offers didn't get, got declined and this, that, and the other. And, you know, it's and you know, you can see it, you know, especially when you're a buyer's agent. On the selling side is a little bit easier or different, I should say. But on the buyer's side, you know, there's times you get an emotional attachment to these people. You know, you get to meet their children. You get to, you know, maybe there's an auntie that's helping with the search, or an uncle, or, you know, a dad.
Yeah.
We love those, don't we?
Oh, yeah. Coming in under the other end.
So, you know, it's you know, and sometimes, you know, I'll be truthful, you know, we're all human beings, you know. Sometimes, you know, emotions get a little bit out of control, you know, things get heated, you know. Maybe sometimes, you know, an offer should have been put here and you know, things happen in the situation. But, you know, once you get to that closing table and you have seen the adversities that we have overcome and here we are, however long it took or however short it took, you know, and it's just a feeling of triumph and success, you know, a successful close to to where we started, you know, and it definitely brings, it's a certain joy that really words cannot, you cannot put it into words, you know what I mean? It's a heat of the moment kind of situation, but it's just like everything, man. It's awesome to see something that you know, you and these individuals have worked so hard at finally come to a close, and you know, for the most part, you hope it's a happy ending.
Yes, 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 and that's why we do it, man. That's why we do it. It feels good. I mean, it's stressful. We go through a lot. There's a lot of adversities, like you said, that we have to go through, but it's all worth that smile.
They get to buy a crib.
And they're getting in their own crib. I mean, come on. They're paying their own mortgage. They can paint the wall. They can fix it. And what are they doing? They're putting money in their own pocket, right? They're building that equity in their own home.
Absolutely.
Guys, please. My advice is if you're in the market to buy a home, it makes sense for you to have a real estate agent, a professional on your side, because I do a lot of behind the scenes, the numbers piece of it. I'm working hard to make sure this loan closes, but the real estate agent is out there dedicating their time, their efforts. They're out there getting to know your family, really understanding your needs and your wants. And they're fully committed in. I mean, they almost consider themselves part of your family, seeing themselves in that home with you, right? So when we get to closing, yeah, we have to emotionally detach ourselves, but mentally we know how good it feels when somebody says, Sebastian or Thomas, thank you so much for everything you did. You've changed my life. That's why we do what we do. So guys, please don't hesitate to reach out. Even for a sit down, we literally sit down, we can look at everything. We can even prepare you for next year if you can't buy now. But the first step is making that first step, giving us a call, sitting down, understanding where you stand right now, if you can buy, or what do you have to do to be able to buy. So without further ado, before I let everybody go, Thomas, please, where can everybody reach out to you? What's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Well, I am a real estate agent affiliated with ERA Realty, and my office is based out of Spencer, Massachusetts. However, ERA Realty has a good presence. We do have an office in the Marlboro area.
Good. Nice.
I'd be more than happy to meet with potential clients at the Marlboro office.
Great.
We also have locations in the Worcester area, Auburn area, Spencer area, which are at my disposal.
Nice.
You know, and that's another component that I'd like to add as far as ERA Key goes. The one thing that I like about this agency is that, you know, when you work with, you know, when you choose to work with me, you're also, you hire a whole team of professionals. You know, I have a whole team behind me that's supportive, and we're like-minded, and we are all committed to the same success. And yeah, so I can be reached at, you can reach me at my email, which is my last name, Itemere. It's spelled ITEMERE at erakey.net, or you can hit me up on Instagram at Thomas is my realtor, or yeah, man, hit me up on the old telephone, 508-579-4307. Shoot a text, hit me up, holla.
He does pick up his phone call. I'm a witness, guys. So, Thomas, thank you so much for you coming out here. I had a blast.
Thank you for hosting, Sebastian.
You're very welcome. I think that we were able to give some very valuable information to you guys. And please don't hesitate a minute, a second, a day, anytime to give us a call, reach out. We're more than happy to help you, put you in that guaranteed path to home ownership, guys. So again, Sebastian Cordoba here, Mr. Clear to Close, tuning out, but please tune in for next week's episode. Thank you so much.